Apa pa pa piri pe pe pe. Yes, my people. Welcome to the Let's Just Show. This is my first reaction video. The name is Rashid. If you don't know me now, you do. I'm going to be discussing a lot about things I like, things I find entertaining, things I find interesting, ranging from movies, TV shows, all the way to soccer. And then I just like we're gonna just about. That's why it's called the Let's Just Show. It's not a podcast. I'm going to be doing reaction videos, a range of things. I'm basically just going to be having fun on YouTube. That's why I call it a show, So it's not limited just to reactions or things like list and things like that. I'm just basically going to be just saying yo. So being that this is my first reaction video. Hopefully, there's more in the future. Actually, have been wanting to do this for a very long time now, but I always keep telling myself I'd rather just wait till I get a proper studio. Like the guy I'll be reacting to today, you see how his place is set up. And I don't know, I just keep pushing it further and further away. And I just figure I might as well just start now and work my way there, because if not, I'll never start. Like, you know what imposter syndrome is like. But anyway, so I figure the best way to start it is basically reacting to something I love, movies, and we're going to be reacting to Doomsday plot leak. We're not sure if it's real or not, but it's nice to uh, discuss ideas of what the movie might end up looking like. So today I'm going to be reacting to a Doomsday plot leak by, yes, let's see here. Let me just give you his proper accounts properly. Um, yes, the Cosmic Wonder. Go follow him. And yes, a lot more videos to come. So let's see what this is about today. Okay.
This Avengers Doomsday plot leak sounds insane. I particularly like what it says about the Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Kang.
So he said this Avengers Doomsday plot leak. So I'm assuming like they have been others. So again, like I said, I'm not sure if any of them are going to turn out to like actually be true or not, but it's just something to discuss and hopefully, depending on if the plot leak is good, we hope that that's what actually happens, and if it's not, we hope that's not what happens. But it's nice to just ponder about what they might be cooking up in Marvel, being that they've disappointed us so many times now. Hopefully, everyone is like fingers crossed on this one. Hopefully, this is the one that basically brings Marvel back. But I doubt it, if I'm being honest. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what it's about.
Multiple, plural, all of them, and Doctor Doom himself. Now, like all leaks, take it with a grain of salt. This was actually sent to me on X, which took me to MCU Verse, and they even claim that this is a unconfirmed anonymous leak posted to Reddit. But here's the thing: about 70% of this, as I read through it, it's been reported already. So I would say about 70% of this is actually things that is basically confirmed to actually happen in Avengers Doomsday. And a lot of people who've read this already actually say that this is pretty dark, but I actually think that's the direction that Marvel is going to go. And Infinity War was dark as well. I mean, the ending of Infinity War was a pretty dark ending. And I think that's how Avengers Doomsday is going to end.
I feel like I speak for everyone who's invested in like Marvel movies and just the whole universe when I say people enjoy the movies more when the there's actual stakes involved in whatever the story is. There's actually like there's actual stakes involved with the characters. It's not like just, oh, let's go have fun kind of thing, which they've been doing recently. Uh, in a lot of movies and TV shows, is just like writing that doesn't make sense, writing that panders to. I don't know. I just feel like Marvel has been trying to please or pander to everyone, and I think if you've lived long enough in this life, you know that when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. So it's literally not possible to please everyone. the best you can do is write a good story that everyone can relate to, which they stopped doing like since Endgame. Everyone will tell you that.
as well. But of course, like all leaks, take it with a grain of salt. But I do think it's pretty interesting. You'll have to let me know what you think. Let's dive into it. So, according to the leak, the true origin of the multiverse collapse isn't Kang, it's Steve Rogers. Again, this is one of those things that we've heard a lot about this already. And this is
I feel like people have been coming up with like a lot of people. I've been seeing this around, because he went back in time to return the stones at the end of Endgame, but he never came back. Like when we saw him at the end of Endgame, he was really old. But then no one ever touched on the topic of were you supposed to grow old in a timeline that wasn't yours, or a universe that wasn't yours. So I'm guessing this is one of the ways they're basically going to like reintroduce the characters back into the movie. Basically, okay, we're going to deal with the repercussions of Steve actually staying with Peggy.
particularly why Doom is after Steve Rogers. And it seems like the Russo brothers kind of did have a plan to bring back Steve all along, Chris Evans all along, because it does seem like if they didn't have the plan before, they have a really good plan for it now.
Okay, so I don't think they planned on bringing him back at all. I don't think they even planned on coming back at all. I genuinely think Disney's just following the money. They've basically seen the stock drop, people not going to see their movies. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if you said you were releasing a Fantastic Four movie, that movie would have made $1 billion easy. Easy. So I think they are just trying to get back to that stage again. And for once in their life, they are actually listening. But I don't think they are listening to us. I think they are just following the grain. Grain is what they listen to. So it's the reason why I never went, oh, this movie is bad, that movie. I just figured at some point they will lose so much money, they will literally start doing things the right way again.
But obviously, he's going to play a big role in the movie because of him going back in time. It clearly did something. So, according to this leak, the I guess the origin of the class of the multiverse is Steve Rogers, which that's pretty big. But when Steve went back in time at the end of Endgame and chose to stay there,
See?
he unknowingly triggered a chain of incursions across realities. Every altered timeline began crashing into others. And who was the biggest victim? That of Steve Rogers' chain of events that he set off, Victor Von Doom. So Victor Von Doom seems to be sort of a king of his time. It says this version of Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, of course, comes from a 31st century timeline where he ruled Latveria as a monarch. So he had literally a kingdom.
Can I say something? That's one thing I'm really excited to see. And this is just like the cinephile part of me, the movie like obsessed part of me, the filmmaker director part of me that just loves everything about making movies, writing scripts and all of that, and every aspect of movies. Surprisingly enough, I'm really excited to see how they built the world of Doom, this 31st century. If that's what actually happens, I'm excited to see what the wardrobe is going to look like, especially depending on the characters that are already established would be with Doom before all of this goes down. Basically, I'm excited to see all of that. It's like,
At his home in Liberia. This
but the excitement is like out of a 10, like five. You could probably tell from my tone that like I'm excited, but like, I'm like my Marvel increased our hopes so much and like let us down so many times that like I don't know, maybe more hopeful than excited.
is something that we've heard before as well. He was married to Sue, not Richards, not Storm, but Sue Von Doom. Since they were married, he was married to Sue Von Doom. He had two children. This is a little new. Two children, Franklin and Valeria. He already discovered the multiverse, and since it's in the future, that makes a lot of sense. And it's actually taken a lot from Kang's story in the comics. Kang's actually from the future, from the 31st century. He discovers time travel, and at that time, time travel is illegal. But he discovers a time travel machine and goes back in time, and that's the start of Kang the Conqueror. He actually goes back in time to ancient Egypt. The Fantastic Four defeat him, and that's how Kang actually starts to hate the Fantastic Four. But actually replacing him with Doom in this scenario in the MCU would make a lot of sense as well. And I have believed this entire time that Marvel has basically replaced Kang with Doom and is going to transfer basically a lot of what Kang was doing.
Something I don't like that Marvel did, but I understand why they did it, is I don't like that they revealed Robert Downey Jr. as Von Doom before the movie came out. But at the same time, I understand why they did it. What do I mean by that? As of right now, the feel I'm getting from a lot of people I talk to is they're mostly just like personally, first, personally, I'm mostly excited about seeing what the characters, like OG Avengers, their reactions are going to be like when they see that Von Doom looks exactly like Tony Stark, and how that is going to influence their decisions going forward. Because I assume that if Von Doom is the like big bad, which he is, it's going to be very difficult killing Tony Stark, even if it's not Tony Stark, but someone who reminds you of Tony Stark again, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's like we all know the sacrifice he made for the standard MCU universe. And we all know the hurt that everyone felt by his passing away. So I can only assume that like it's not going to be a Thanos situation where it's like, let's take his head off this time. I'm assuming they'll probably, I don't know, but just based off normal emotional reactions to shocking things like this, I'm assuming they'll probably try to see if there's any attribute of the Tony Stark they knew in this Von Doom, and see if they can bring him into the fold. I don't know if that's how will I put it? I don't know if that's something they'll try to do. Let's just put it that way, or if they're just gonna go, nah, we're not having another Thanos situation. Take his head off, you know. So we'll see about that.
To Doom and saying it was Doom's doing. So he ruled Latveria as a monarch. He was married to Sue Von Doom, and they had two children, Franklin and Valeria. He already had discovered the multiverse, but the incursions caused by Steve Rogers wiped out his entire universe. So his family, his wife, his kids, his kingdom, his world, his entire universe gone because of Steve Rogers. Again, this is something that we've heard before, so this checks out already. And I do like this. I really, really do like this. And I like this idea as well. There's a sentence here that says, he is a villain that is not, your typical mustache twirling villain, but he is a grieving god. And I actually really like that point. And
Yes. And I'll tell you why I like that. And the reason why I like that, and I hope that's what happens, is because I feel like since Endgame, Marvel went from writing characters, good or bad, that people could relate to, and started writing characters that could pander to people. And what do I mean by that? I don't care if a character is black or white or gay or non-binary, or I don't care what the character is. One thing I know about characters and about people is that regardless of what walk of life you come from, as a human being, we can all relate to certain things. We can all relate to joy. We can all relate to happiness. We can all relate to struggle. We can all relate to sacrifice. We can all relate to hate. We can all relate to anger. We can all relate to remorse. So they're like things that, regardless of where you come from, if they put us in the same room, just being human beings, we can relate on certain things. So depending on how, it's like Thanos. I'm very sure nobody wanted to be snapped by Thanos, you know. But while watching the movie, there were a lot of people that loved Thanos because they understood his motive, even though they knew he wasn't going about things the right way. They understood his motive, they understood his pain, they understood his struggle, they understood his drive, you know. So even though you don't um value wise align with Thanos, on a human level, you understand Thanos. And they stopped writing characters that way. And it's the reason why people like whenever people say, oh, Brave New World flopped because Captain America is now black. I'm like, no. They just Anthony Mackie is a good actor. He's a good actor. They just basically wrote a Captain America that was there to pander to people. That's it. Captain Marvel, same things. People loved Captain Marvel in the comics. They bring her on screen, made her into a panda character. And there are a lot of characters like that in the universe that they started introducing just to pander to certain people in like in the world. And again, I'll repeat myself. How will I put this? There's a saying basically, you can't please everyone. And when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. And you would think this is common sense. You would literally think this is common sense, but apparently it's not common. But here we are now. And that's why I never like, I just figure like at some point, Marvel would start listening to the grain, which they always do, and you don't have to complain. You don't have to be like, oh, stop pandering, stop doing this, write better characters. I never complain. I never, because I knew at the end of the day, the green would drive them where they need to go. And the green is what made them bring Robert Downey Jr. back. The green is what made them bring Steve Rogers back. The green is what is making them do Doomsday. The green is what is going to make them include Kang in this movie. Because if it wasn't for the green and they kept pandering, they would not include Kang in this movie. They would not bring Jonathan Majors back. But we'll see. Maybe I'm like jumping ahead of the gun and they don't bring him back. But I think you understand what I'm saying. When it comes to things like this, just leave this. At the end of the day, they're companies. They're companies that are here to make profit. If you decide, oh, I don't want to make profits, I rather pander to people, it's only so long you can do that for before you get evicted from your building. And if you don't want to get evicted, you need to start listening to the green again. That's what they're doing.
We've recently heard a lot about Doom tricking the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and X-Men, everybody, to making them think that he's actually the good guy. This puts a good twist on it, or this explains it in a very good way, what's about to come up. So we just heard this the other day. The movie allegedly opens from the point of view of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's universe collapsing. So
I haven't heard this one before. I have not heard this one before. So if this is actually true, this is something that is like making me excited now to see the movie. If this is actually true, because I would love to see the world they've created for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Does he have a kid? Is he married to Mary Jane? You know, what kind of world is he living in now as an adult Spider-Man? You know, so I'm excited to see what that looks like, and I hope it's not like a quick, you know, this is Spider-Man thing, and then he's gone immediately. I would like maybe even if it's 5 minutes, just show us him swinging around the little dynamic he has with his family before the world does disappear, if that's what happens.
the sky tears apart, another Earth comes into play. That Earth is experiencing an incursion with another Earth. So as everything is collapsing from the Earth, right at the end, a portal opens up and someone from the TVA takes Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and saves him. This is kind of cool. It says no heroic music, no victory, just loss. And that's like the opening scene.
Okay.
Very dark, very somber. But I do believe to really kind of show the threat that is ahead for Avengers Doomsday, not just Doom, but the multiverse collapsing, this is a good way to show it. And it puts Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in right away. So I like that as well. And again, this was reported the other day, so this checks out. So here's where it gets pretty intense here. It says
Give me some Kang.
Council of, it says Doom, but I think
He was so good in Quantumania.
Slaughters, the Council of
He was the one good thing in that movie.
Hope happens. I actually hope that we get that Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene that has all of those Kangs there in that stadium, and then Doom just shows up and says, hey, thanks for all gathering in one place for me, so you made it easy for me, and then boom, kills them all. Something like that. I really hope something like that happens.
No, okay, so I disagree there. I disagree there. But at the same time, it would track with what they did in Quantumania because they were building Kang to be this big bad, and then in Quantumania, he gets defeated by Ant-Man. So is he really a big bad? You know, I'm not saying Ant-Man is not, you know, but like it should take at least two movies he was supposed to be the big bad back then, and there wasn't discussions to bring back Doom. So if that was the case, that was such a bad script, and that was such a bad way to introduce Kang. So I guess they are just going to continue with the like story of just nerfing Kang's power, if that's what actually happens, and Doom just comes and like destroys 1 million Kangs or however many Kangs were in that stadium in the movie.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. So it says he uses the fact that he looks like Tony Stark to manipulate heroes, which I think makes total sense, and that is definitely something Doctor Doom would do. He revives Wanda Maximoff using Franklin Richards. We have heard a report about this in the past as well, and I've really liked this, especially because in the Fantastic Four First Steps at the end, Sue Storm dies, and her son, Franklin Richards, brings her back. We already know he has that power. So if the Scarlet Witch is indeed dead in the MCU, Franklin Richards bringing her back is,
Does she come back as a zombie? No, I'm joking.
I think, a pretty dang good way to do that. And I actually think Doctor Doom being the one to do it, via Franklin Richards, is a really good angle, because then the Scarlet Witch probably thinks that Doom is good, but then he promises her something. According to this leak, he promises Wanda her children on Battleworld. So I think basically where this is going is Doom. He's already realized the multiverse is doomed, no pun intended. And he has already in his mind formulated his plan that basically says, I have to rule over everything. Everybody's screwing it up. The Kang guy screwed it up. He tried to do some stuff, but didn't work. I'm the only one who can truly save the multiverse. And the only way to do that is to actually just rule over one world, put a bunch of universes into one battle world, and I will rule over it.
But this is where I get confused sometimes, and this is what happens with Marvel when they have too many shows. In the Loki TV show, I think Kang basically said he was the one. Did Kang know about Doom, or because Steve Rogers had already gone to Peggy by the time Loki and everything was going down to season 2. So where was Doom in that whole scenario? Are they going to let us know what happened during that period? Did Loki, now that he's in charge of the Tree of Life or everything, does Loki know about Doom? Does Loki warn them that Doom is coming? You know? So there's so many questions that need answering, but we'll see.
It'll be my way and I'll control everything. And that's how we'll have peace in the multiverse. Well, we won't have a multiverse, it'll just be one thing, but we'll all live, which is basically what happens in the comics to an extent. But he promises her children on Battleworld, is what this says. And I like that. So he would revive her. Again, we've heard this report in the past. And then he would say, hey, I'm the guy who brought you back. I need your help. And if you help me, I will give you your children on Battleworld. You can finally be with them. And keep in mind, Vision is returning in Vision Quest. So the idea that Wanda could finally get her whole family, obviously really compelling to her. So it goes on and it says, only 3 Earths remain. Earth 616, which is our main sacred timeline, Earth A28, the Fantastic Four universe, and Earth 10,005, the Fox universe. Doom sends Doombots to attack the X Mansion, and we have heard that they're Sentinels, and even in the Cyclops trailer, we can see giant legs in the background, and they look like Sentinels, and it makes sense that they would be Sentinels. So maybe the leak thinks they're Doombots, but they're actually Sentinels, or maybe we all think the Sentinels
Are Doombots.
they're Sentinels, and then they could actually be bots.
Exactly.
Maybe that image, maybe that scene that we're seeing from the teaser is actually in the past. We don't know yet. But what we do know is the X Mansion gets attacked, and it does seem like it's going to be Sentinels or Doombots. Either or, the result is kind of.
I'm actually waiting for the Cyclops trailer to come out. I'm excited to see Cyclops as well. And I want to see like what's like the role they're going to give him, you know. I hope like they actually do Cyclops justice. Because like the first few X-Men movies, they really didn't do him justice. And I understand why. Hugh Jackman basically carried that whole franchise on his back, you know. But again, bad writers. I feel like I don't know, man. And they keep bringing people that don't know a lot about comics. People that, well, I'm not excited for Marvel things anymore. Let me just put it that way.
And this frames the MCU or the sacred timeline as the aggressor. So Doom promises Magneto a mutant nation, Krakoa, on Battleworld. And he gains their trust. He gains the trust of Professor X. This leads to the Avengers versus the X-Men, which is very interesting. This is a little bit of a different twist to it. Before, what I thought was Doom was going to attack the X-Men, and then the Avengers were going to show up, and they would basically perceive them as hostile because the last person who showed up, Doom, was hostile. And of course, this isn't confirmed, but this is actually a cool way to do it. And again, recently, just over the last week, we've heard that Doom is going to, at least for 40% of the movie, 50% of the movie, half of it, is going to try and portray itself as the hero, which actually we've heard from multiple sources at this point in time that's what it is. So checks out. So we got the Avengers versus the X-Men, Sentry versus Professor X, which is another report that we've heard. Professor X wins. Doom steals Cerebro. This is interesting because at the wrap party for Avengers Doomsday, there were pictures on display of Cerebro. Like, people there were taking pictures with Cerebro. They were actually showing cast members with Cerebro on from the set. So Cerebro is definitely a part of this movie. So Doom stealing it makes a lot of sense. And he could magnify Cerebro with the powers of Franklin Richards and turn it into a multiversal device, which I think would be cool. And it says that Franklin teleports him away. Classic Doom. No one realizes the truth until it's too late. Yep. So Doom tracks Loki to the end of time, it says.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, is Loki not seeing any of this happening? Or like, is he just very strict with that not interfering thing? Like, is he one of those things where he's like really strict and he's like, I'm actually not going to interfere, and what happens happens because, that's just life, and I shouldn't interfere with what's supposed to. Is Loki now like a watcher? That's what I'm curious, because apparently he should know. Well, I don't know. There's so much lore in this universe now that I'm so confused sometimes.
Loki leaves the TVA to speak with Steve Rogers. Doom invades the TVA, massacres everyone, and destroys the organization entirely. This is interesting. I mean, we've all expected Dr. Doom to either rule or destroy the TVA, but this says he leaves the TVA. I don't think Loki could physically leave, so I'm wondering if he's just projecting himself, which means he can't really see everything. He can only see where he's at. So he probably is still sitting on that throne. When it says he leaves, it's probably just him projecting himself into a timeline to speak to Steve Rogers, and he can't really see what's
Yeah, but can't he see what's going on in every timeline? I'm so like,
going on, just what's right in front of them at that moment, which would be Steve. That's how I would imagine this. Going up to the TV.
yeah, because he's literally holding every timeline in his hand. So, like, can't he see what's going on in every timeline if he wanted to? Like you just said, if he was able to project himself into a timeline, I'm assuming he's watching over everyone, but not just getting involved. Because I don't think he's just sat down there, just staring into space, right? Because or is he just sleeping? Is he like in a deep slumber? Like, what's going on here? Because the idea, or what I took from it anyway, is he might become like a watcher, but he's not bound by the same rules and laws that watchers are bound by. So maybe every now and then he might just go in like a guardian angel kind of vibe and just,
Yeah, destroying everything. It says he then defeats a multiversal Avengers team, and the team includes Deadpool, Wolverine, Gambit, X-23, Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man, McAvoy's Professor X, which is really interesting, and Fassbender's
I was literally about to say, why aren't they bringing back McAvoy's Professor X and Fassbender's Magneto? This is the first I'm hearing of it, actually. It's always been on my mind that if you're thinking long term and you're moving from the older generation, it will make sense to move the mantle to McAvoy and Fassbender to just carry on being the Magneto and Professor X of the new timeline when it does get reset. But again, this is the first I'm hearing of it. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Magneto. Haven't heard those two yet, but we've been wondering, or any of these other X-Men going to show up, or just the, original ones from the Fox universe. And they all lose, which I think at the end of it all, yes, everybody loses to Doom, except for those who choose to join him. And like I mentioned, Doctor Strange is one of those people who I thought in this has a pretty cool story, because I am under the impression, and this is how it is in Secret Wars as well, that Strange is going to join Doom. And we've had that leaked concept art showing Sheriff Strange at the side of Doom as his right-hand man, just like he is in the comic.
Yeah, but it's Strange joining Doom again because of like the same thing that happened in Infinity War, where he figures out the one thing and the one way to actually beat the villain, and he's like, I have to go down this path. Or is it a Scarlet Witch kind of situation where he's like, does something happen to Strange? Because at the end of the Multiverse of Madness, he goes into Lord knows where with Charlize Theron's character, and we basically haven't heard from Strange since then. So what goes down during that period and makes Strange join Doom? Is this something he sees in the future because of like last time with the time stone and everything? But what happened again? Yeah, there's so much lore in the Marvel universe right now. I think they're even confused because of how much they've confused us at this point. That's probably why they're going for the reset as well. Like this reset, I'll be very honest, it's the right thing to do. It's to be honest, I don't know if it's at the right time. I think it's something they should have done properly a long time ago to just maintain the ebb and flow of like Marvel, man. Marvel and Disney.
This explains it a little bit. We'll get to that. So it says some moments, insane moments from the leak. Steve Rogers lifts Stormbreaker, not Mjolnir. Doom absorbs the void from Sentry and kills him. Doomsday, he kills Professor X. Wanda kills Jean Grey. And I've heard a plot leak about this before, and I thought that was pretty crazy. Jean transfers the Phoenix Force to Wolverine. That's pretty crazy as well. And
Okay, so this is where like I start to believe like the leaks are just going wild. Like, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. At this point, I don't know what to expect.
Doom kills Thor in front of Loki. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think that happens. I don't think Thor dies. I really don't. So a multiversal team called the Cabal attacks remaining Earths. It's interesting because in a big plot leak that we heard before from reliable people, reliable insiders told us that, yeah, there's going to be obviously a bunch of groups doing different things, but Wakanda and our Earth is getting attacked by some other force that is not Doom. It could be the Cabal. And he does have a Cabal, or a Cabal exists in Secret Wars in the story. They're not exactly his, but they're on a life raft. But here's the cool part. According to this leak, the Cabal will include Superior Iron Man, Captain Hydra, Maestro Hulk, and King Thanos, all of which we have heard at some point in time a report that they're
King Thanos, that would be nice.
and that would be pretty dang cool if they were his team, if they were Doom's team, and they were the ones attacking Earth.
My God,
Well,
if it turns out like even half of this is true, I would love to see what the budget of this movie comes out to. I would love to see what the budget of this movie comes out to, and it's a huge swing by Marvel if it's done right. It's a huge swing, and if it's done right, if it's done right, they could be taking a like a very huge step in the right direction again.
Doom was dealing with the TVA and the Multiversal Avengers. That would be pretty crazy. And this is where it says, with no options left, Doctor Strange switches sides. Not out of evil, but out of necessity. I really like this because I always thought, I still do think, Doctor Strange is going to switch sides. He does that in the comics because it's kind of like Doom is saying, hey, the whole multiverse is about to be destroyed. Wouldn't it be better to save one thing? Strange.
See, there might be something that Strange knows that we don't know. And again, this is the thing, yeah. Like this is why Doomsday is going to be so confusing because they are bringing a lot of characters that were left off in like scenarios that are currently unanswered. So it's like, are you going to answer the questions and link it to how the come to find themselves in whatever situation they find themselves now, or is it just going to be a thing where you're just going to make it like a Thanos thing where Thanos just, like the beginning of Infinity War, where after Ragnarok happens and the beginning of Infinity War, what we just see is Thanos has demolished the ship, he's killing Loki, and Heimdall is sending Hulk back to Earth. So there's a gap there that we don't know how the interaction went down before the whole fight happened and Thor was. So is it going to be one of those things where it's just like, and we basically pick up from here, and this is what's going to happen from, or are we going to explain what happened to all these characters before they found themselves in this situation?
Just like, yes. So they get on Battleworld, he rules everything. And Doctor Strange is one of the only people, with the exception of Molecule Man, I believe, who remembers anything before. The universes before, the multiverse before, he's aware of it all. And even when Reed Richards and them come on the life raft, they're like, you knew this whole entire time. Like, you let him play God, blah, 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 blah. And Doctor Strange is like, he's very good at playing God. And he did save us. So it's like, okay, you know, to sacrifice a little bit to save something makes sense. And I think that's going to be the same thing here in Avengers Doomsday going into Secret Wars. And that's how we get Strange at the side of him. So it says everyone wakes up in a medieval warped reality. And the medieval part, we have seen that in the leaks as well. Even that one scene with Doctor Strange and Doom on the throne, it looks very medieval. Everything has changed and Doom is on the throne. Kang is gone. Doom is the new multiversal god. And it does say that Doom engineered the sacred timeline. MCU Victor Von Doom was adopted by the Starks. They named him Tony Stark. Doom allowed this timeline to exist until Steve broke it. Now, that was the original story for Kang, I think. What Marvel wanted to do for Kang and Kang Dynasty. So, like I said before, perhaps they just kind of transferred it over to Doom. I'm curious how they're going to handle the Kang Doom story.
Same.
I do want to see Doom show up and basically kill all the Kangs, but I'm curious to see exactly how they handle Doom controlling parts of the multiverse. So this is the leak. And like I said, and as you've heard now, it's pretty crazy. Again, about 70% of this, I think, is indeed going to happen. The other 30%, not sure. If this leak is accurate, this is going to happen. It's going to be insane. If it's not,
Yeah. It's a pretty juicy leak if it's a pretty juicy leak if it turns out to be real. Um, just so far, only a few things got me excited. The Toby Maguire seeing his universe, um, the Kang Doom dynamic. And also, like I stated earlier, just mostly seeing how the characters react to Doom basically having the face of Tony Stark that they remember, who sacrificed everything, his life, his family for uh the world basically. And yeah, that's about it. Obviously RDJ is going to kill it as Doom. Like that man's a prolific actor. He's going to kill it as Doom, so I'm excited to see what he brings to Doom that's very different from Tony, because I know it's going to be hard the first few minutes. Everyone's seeing RDJ and not trying to find things that they saw in Tony in Doom. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, yeah, first reaction video. I hope I didn't talk too much. I told you it's a Let's Gist channel. It's me giving my opinions. I'm not just here to play someone else's video for you. I'm here to actually just with y'all. But yeah, thank you. Like, subscribe, support. Yeah, be part of the first 10 subscribers. I'm just going to be doing this every day, and hopefully I find and you know create my community of people that love talking about the things I love talking about and find interesting. But as usual, pa 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 piri pe pe pe. Catch you on the next video.